Hello, transitions. Let's go ahead and take it one step further with multiplication rule. So just as a refresher, when you're multiplying exponents, you add the exponents. Okay, so when you're multiplying, add the exponents. So the problems that we're going to look at today, the bases aren't always going to be the same, and I want to show you how to approach that. So if we take a look at number 7, if you notice, we've got this couple different parts that we haven't seen before. I've got a -4, I've got this negative here, and then I've got this 3. Okay, all of those are big numbers that are not the same. Okay, so we know if that's a negative, we know that that's like a -1. So whenever you come across a problem that has, numbers that aren't the same base, all you have to do is multiply them together. Okay, so -4 times -1 gives me a +4 times 3, which gives me 12. Okay, so we're starting off with 12. So again, if they're big numbers that are not the same, just multiply those numbers together. Okay, then we can go ahead and dive deeper into the actual exponent ones. Okay, so if we look at a, we can see there's another a over here. So that's the same base. So let's go ahead and add those exponents. So I've got a to the 3rd and a to the 2nd. So 3 plus 2 gives me a to the 5th. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my next variable, and that's b. So I've got b to the 3 here, but notice here I just have a b. So remember, if something doesn't have an exponent written, that's a 1. Okay, so I'm going 3 plus 1, giving me b to the 4th, and that is my final answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at number 8. Okay, very similar. We notice that there's a 4 in front. Okay, well, there aren't any other 4s. There aren't any other big numbers. So just go ahead and bring that 4 along for our answer. Okay, then we can go ahead and dive into the exponents and the variables. Okay, so the first thing I see is a y, and I've got another y over here. So let's go ahead and add. I've got a 2 and a 3, which gives me y to the 5th. And then notice I just have one x, an x to the 2nd power, okay, an x squared. Okay, there's nothing to add that with, so we're just going to go ahead and bring that down with our answer. Okay, but when we're writing our answers, the goal is to always put those variables in alphabetical order. So we're going to rearrange that a little bit. That 4 will still go first, but I'm going to put that x squared before that, and then my y to the 5th for my final answer. All right, on to number 9. So again, we want to take a look at the big numbers that are not the same base first. And we can see we've got our -4, and we've got our +2, and we've got a 3. So -4 times 2 we know gives us 8, and then we need to multiply that by 3, which is going to get us a -24. So again, I'm multiplying all 3 of those together to get that, because they are different numbers. Okay, so then we can go ahead and take a look at our variables. Okay, so our variables, I've got an x here, I've got an x here, I've got an x here, but notice some of those exponents aren't written, so we know that's a 1, and this one's a 1. So I'm going 1 plus 3, which gives me 4, plus 1, which gives me 5, so x to the 5th. And then we'll do that same thing with our last variable, y. Okay, so I've got a y to the 3rd, and another y to the 3rd, so 3 plus 3 gives me 6. Okay, and that's my final answer. Alrighty then, on to number 10. Again, let's take those big numbers. Notice they are the same in this problem, so you could go 4 to the 1st, 4 to the 1st, which gets us 4 to the 2nd, or you can just multiply like we've been doing, and that gets us 16. So same thing, because 4 squared gets us 16. But notice, we got some variables here. So if I'm looking at the first one that I see, that's a y. But notice, there aren't any other y's. So I'm just going to bring that y down. You could put the 1, but you don't have to. And then next, we see we've got that x. And again, there's only that one x squared, so we can't combine it with anything. But remember, our answer needs to be in order. Okay, so I'm going to have that 16 first, that x squared second, and then my y in the last part. All right. 1 or 2 more problems here. So we're looking at number 11. And again, take a look at those big numbers. So I've got a 3 and a -3. Multiply those together and you get -9. Okay, then we first thing we could see is our n. So I've got an n to the 4th. And I got an n to the 3rd. So again, just add those together. So 4 plus 3 gives me 7. And then lastly, we've got an m here. Okay, but there's no other m, so just go ahead and bring that m to your answer. And our last step is to put it in order. So negative 9 m cubed, and then n to the 7th. That's our final answer here. All right, and then the last problem, okay, number 12. So again, take those big numbers, multiply them together. So 4 times 2 gets me 8. Okay, then let's go ahead and look at our exponents. So I've got a u to the 2nd power, got a u to the 3rd power. Again, we're multiplying here because that little dot. So let's see, 2 plus 3 gives me 5. So u to the 5th power. And then lastly, we can take care of v. I've got v to the 3rd power and v to the 3rd power again. So 3 plus 3 gives me 6. And that's our final answer. Okay, so again, these are just a little bit more complex than the first video that we did, but take it step by step. If you need some help, just let me know. You can do it. Adios.